obviously, just talk about what are some of your keys to success this coming season for your team?
Well, I mean, our process doesn't change. Again, it's just about us getting better every single day. And I think that we've done a really good job in recruiting. I think we've done a really good job in developing the guys that we have to be able to put ourselves in a good position to be successful on the football field. But none of that matters if we don't take care of today. And so really it's about taking care of today and being the best we possibly can today, and then worrying about tomorrow. And so that's really our goal. We got to stay healthy. We got to have some luck, but ultimately these guys have worked really hard over the last spring and summer to put themselves in a position where it's going to be about the pack.
You have a lot of returners from last year, but you also brought in, I think you said 40 new guys in the meeting today. How have those guys, how those newcomers kind of meshed with some of the returners during the offseason? And some of the guys came in the springtime, obviously, and played some, obviously.
Yeah, I think the beautiful thing about Pack football and Pack culture is you either buy in or you won't be here very long. And those guys have bought in, and the guys that are just now getting here, they're going to find that out pretty quickly as well. And so the culture regulates itself, and those guys that have stayed here, they're going to be extremely successful because of it. So they've acclimated well.
What are some, I'm not going to, but what are some key, I would say other than quarterback, what are other some key position battles that you're excited to see in camp, how it kind of plays out?
That's a great question, Ben. I think, there's a lot of positions that every year, every position is up for grabs. Daniel Bone, Reggie Retzlaff, like those guys are going to have to come to camp and have to work their tails off to be the guy. I don't think that there's any doubt that those two will do that, but our job as coaches is to try to create as much competition at every position as possible. It's their job to make sure that no matter who we bring in, they're still the guy, right? And so we're always going to try to bring in top talent, and we're always going to create competition. I think the biggest thing for us, in our success this next year is going to rely heavily on the offensive and defensive line. That's where you win football games. And so I'm excited to see some of the additions that we brought in both places to be able to help us with our physicality up front, to be able to move people and stop the run on defense. And it's going to be a good group to watch.
This is your schedule. Obviously, you start off with a conference game on week 0, and you have a bye week. Talk about that bye week and what does that kind of mean to this group as you get into the season. That's kind of the end of the season. Those are kind of our tough end of the season stretch. Is that bye week's obviously going to help nurse some injuries possibly and some other things?
Well, I hope so. You try to plan it out to fit best where you think you will need it. And we had some other teams in the conference reach out to try to move our game up to week 0, and ultimately I felt like if we could get it later in the year, that would help us. And so we were able to strike a deal with South Dakota Mines and Charlie Floor, and I think it's going to help us tremendously at the back end of the season. I've been a part of deep playoff runs in the past where you get that bye that first week, and it is so huge to your team to be able to be somewhat healthy at the end of the year. And I think this will just go on to help us, really finish strong. That's what my goal is, that we can finish strong.
Having 3 straight home games after that game with South Dakota Mines, how does that kind of, obviously that was a pretty good get to get 3 home games in a row there after that open on the road. How do you feel about that, and how's the team for you guys? You guys are strong, being a strong home team, obviously.
Yeah, well, I think, the quality of the opponents that are going to be coming up to our place early in this year, I'm glad we're at home, because we've got the Lone Star Conference champ coming up, and then we've got the GL, Great Lakes Conference, whatever conference they're in, champ, and they went to the semifinals last year. And so we're going to have 2 really, really good non-conference opponents, and then we're going to have Mesa come up here, and it's always a battle. That's always a fight, and so it's going to be a test again, just like it was last year. I believe in playing tough teams in our non-conference schedule, because we could go out there and we can schedule powder puff games and win every single game, and then not get tested until the tough teams in our league. But that doesn't help us. And ultimately, I want to make sure that we can get a really good barometer of who we are and what we need to improve on to be that team standing at the end of the season ready to roll for the playoffs.
What do you think of the league this year overall? What do you kind of think of the league, knowing what you kind of know about some of the teams that brought in? What do you kind of know about the league a little bit?
Well, I just think in general it's a very competitive league. I think we've got teams at every neck of Colorado and Nebraska and South Dakota that have done a really good job recruiting and playing to their scheme, and you can see that. We got a bunch of tough kids in this conference that know how to play and win football games, and so it's a very good conference, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
Last question: How has your adjustment been last year? This is all kind of new to you. Obviously, that you played in the league, but now you've had a year. Your kids have had a couple of years being with you. How has this off season been? Getting in planning for the next season. How has this kind of been compared to last year when it was kind of it was just different, I guess.
Yeah, I just think again it's about upholding the standard, right? Like I think we've implemented the culture, we've implemented the standards that we have, and now it's just about upholding those standards. And then it's also about empowering our players, right? I think everyone says a player-led team is the best team. Well, if you're not creating avenues and being intentional about giving your players avenues to lead, how are they going to step up and lead? And so I think that's one thing that we've been able to incorporate specifically this spring and this summer that are going to pay huge dividends for us coming up into the fall.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate that.
Thank you.